Chapter 1. The ancient stones of Mistwood Academy loomed over the dense forest, its spires reaching towards the overcast sky. Amelia Ravenswood stood at the iron gates, her heart pounding with a mixture of excitement and trepidation. She had dreamed of this moment for years, ever since she first discovered her magical abilities. As she stepped through the gates, a gust of wind whipped through her auburn hair, carrying with it the whispers of countless secrets held within the Academy's walls. Amelia clutched her suitcase tightly, her knuckles turning white as she made her way up the winding path toward the entrance. Suddenly, a figure emerged from the shadows, blocking her path. It was a tall, dark-haired boy with piercing blue eyes that seemed to glow in the dim light. "You don't belong here," he said, his voice cold and menacing. "Turn back now, before it's too late." Amelia stood her ground, lifting her chin defiantly. "I have every right to be here," she said, her voice trembling slightly. "I was accepted into Mistwood Academy, just like everyone else." The boy stepped closer, his eyes narrowing. "You have no idea what you're getting yourself into," he warned. "The Academy is not what it seems. There are dark forces at work here, forces that will consume you if you're not careful." Before Amelia could respond, a voice called out from behind her. "Leave her alone, Damien." She turned to see a girl with long, blonde hair and fierce green eyes striding towards them. "She's one of us now." Damien scoffed, his gaze flickering between the two girls. "We'll see about that," he said, before turning on his heel and disappearing into the shadows. The blonde girl held out her hand to Amelia. "I'm Alara," she said, smiling warmly. "Don't mind Damien. He's always been a bit of a brooding loner." Amelia shook Alara's hand, feeling a sense of relief wash over her. "I'm Amelia," she said. "Thank you for stepping in. I wasn't sure what to do." Alara laughed, her eyes sparkling with mischief. "Stick with me, Amelia," she said, linking her arm through Amelia's. "I'll show you the ropes around here, but first, let's get you settled into your room." As they made their way into the academy, Amelia couldn't shake the feeling that Damien's warning held more truth than she wanted to believe. The enchanted halls of Mistwood Academy held secrets, and she was determined to uncover them, no matter the cost. Chapter 2. As Amelia and Alara navigated the winding corridors of Mistwood Academy, the air seemed to crackle with an undercurrent of magic. Portraits of long-dead sorcerers and witches lined the walls, their eyes seeming to follow the girls as they passed. Amelia couldn't shake the feeling that something was off, but she couldn't quite put her finger on it. Alara led her to a room at the end of a long hallway, the door adorned with intricate carvings of mythical creatures. "This is your room," she said, pushing the door open to reveal a cozy space with a four-poster bed and a large arched window overlooking the misty grounds. "I'm just down the hall, if you need anything." Amelia thanked her new friend and began to unpack her belongings, her mind still reeling from her encounter with Damien. She couldn't help but wonder what he meant by the dark forces at work within the academy. As she hung her cloak in the wardrobe, a glint of light caught her eye. Tucked behind a stack of books on the shelf was a small silver key. Curiosity piqued, Amelia reached for the key, turning it over in her hands. It was unlike any key she had ever seen, with strange symbols etched into its surface. She was about to slip it into her pocket when a knock at the door startled her. "Amelia, are you ready? It's time for the welcome feast." Alara's voice called from the other side of the door. Hastily, Amelia placed the key back on the shelf and smoothed her robes. "Coming," she replied, casting one last glance at the mysterious object before joining Alara in the hallway. The dining hall was a sight to behold, with floating candles illuminating the room and long tables laden with sumptuous dishes. Amelia and Alara took their seats, and Amelia couldn't help but notice that Damien was seated at the far end of the table, his gaze fixed on her. As the headmistress, a tall, elegant woman with silver hair, began her welcome speech, Amelia's attention was drawn to a peculiar statue at the front of the hall. It depicted a cloaked figure holding a sphere that seemed to pulse with an eerie light. Something about the statue made Amelia's skin crawl, and she couldn't shake the feeling that it was watching her. Suddenly, the sphere in the statue's hands began to glow brighter, and a hush fell over the room. The headmistress continued her speech, seemingly unaware of the strange occurrence. Amelia glanced around, wondering if anyone else had noticed, but everyone's attention seemed to be on the headmistress. As the feast drew to a close, Amelia's mind was racing with questions. What was the purpose of the key she had found? What secrets did the statue hold? And what did Damien know about the dark forces at work within Mistwood Academy? Determined to uncover the truth, Amelia resolved to investigate further, even if it meant facing the dangers that lurked within the enchanted halls of the Academy. Chapter 3. The Secret Room. As the days passed, Amelia found herself settling into the rhythm of life at Mistwood Academy. She attended classes, honing her magical skills alongside her fellow students, but the mysteries surrounding the school never strayed far from her thoughts. One evening, as she returned to her room after a particularly grueling potions lesson, Amelia's gaze fell upon the silver key she had discovered on her first day. Its strange symbols seemed to beckon her, and she knew she couldn't ignore its call any longer. Slipping the key into her pocket, Amelia crept out of her room and into the dimly lit hallway. She had no idea where the key might lead her, but something deep inside told her that it was important. As she wandered the corridors, Amelia found herself drawn to a part of the academy she had never explored before. The walls here were older, the stone worn and crumbling in places. She followed the twisting path until she came to a dead end, a solid wall blocking her way. Amelia was about to turn back when she noticed a small keyhole, almost hidden in the shadows. With trembling hands, she retrieved the silver key from her pocket and slid it into the lock. To her surprise, the key turned easily, and the wall swung open to reveal a hidden room. The room was small and dusty, filled with ancient tomes and strange artifacts. Amelia's heart raced as she stepped inside, her eyes wide with wonder. She ran her fingers along the spines of the books, marveling at the secrets they might hold. As she explored the room, Amelia's gaze fell upon a crumbling stone tablet. Its surface was etched with the same symbols she had seen on the silver key. She leaned closer, squinting to make out the words. "The sphere holds the key to the Academy's power," she read aloud, her voice barely above a whisper. "Only the chosen one can unlock its true potential." Amelia's mind raced. The sphere. Could it be the same one she had seen the statue holding in the dining hall? And what did it mean by the chosen one? She was so engrossed in her thoughts that she didn't hear the footsteps approaching until it was too late. The door to the secret room swung open, and Amelia found herself face to face with Damien. "I warned you," he said, his voice low and urgent. "You shouldn't be here." Amelia stood her ground, her chin raised defiantly. "I'm not going anywhere until I get some answers," she replied. "What do you know about this room? And what does the sphere in the dining hall have to do with the Academy's power?" Damien hesitated, his eyes searching her face. "You're in danger, Amelia," he said softly. "There are forces at work here that you can't begin to understand." Before Amelia could respond, the sound of footsteps echoed in the hallway outside. Damien's eyes widened in alarm. "We need to go," he said, grabbing Amelia's hand and pulling her towards the door. Together, they fled the secret room, the walls sliding shut behind them, just as a group of teachers rounded the corner. Amelia's heart pounded as she and Damien hurried back to the main part of the academy, their minds racing with the implications of what they had discovered. As they parted ways, Damien turned to Amelia, his expression serious. "Be careful," he warned, "and don't trust anyone." With those words echoing in her mind, Amelia returned to her room, more determined than ever to unravel the secrets of Mistwood Academy. Chapter 4. Whispers in the Night. Amelia lay awake in her bed, her mind racing with the events of the day. The hidden room, the cryptic tablet, and Damien's ominous warning all swirled together in a dizzying mix of confusion and intrigue. She couldn't shake the feeling that she was on the verge of uncovering something truly momentous. As the night wore on, a strange whisper began to echo through the halls of Mistwood Academy. At first, Amelia thought she was imagining things, but as the whisper grew louder, she realized it was coming from outside her room. Cautiously, she crept to her door and pressed her ear against the wood. "Amelia," the voice called, soft and ethereal. "Come to me." Against her better judgment, Amelia found herself drawn to the voice. She slipped out of her room and followed the whisper through the darkened corridors of the academy. The voice led her to a part of the school she had never seen before, a place where the walls were covered in ancient runes, and the air crackled with magical energy. At the end of the hallway stood a shimmering, translucent figure. It was a woman, her features obscured by a veil of mist. "Amelia Ravenswood," the figure said, her voice echoing in the stillness of the night. "You have been chosen." Amelia's heart raced as she took a step closer. "Chosen for what?" she asked, her voice trembling. The figure smiled enigmatically. "To unlock the true power of Mistwood Academy," she replied. "The sphere you saw in the dining hall is the key. Only you can wield its magic and bring about a new age for our kind." Amelia's mind reeled with the implications of the figure's words. She had always known she was different, that her magical abilities set her apart from her peers. But to be chosen for such a monumental task, it was almost too much to bear. "But why me?" Amelia asked, her voice barely above a whisper. The figure reached out a ghostly hand and brushed Amelia's cheek. "Because you are special, my dear," she said softly. "You have a destiny that has been written in the stars since the dawn of time." With those words, the figure began to fade away, her form dissolving into mist. Amelia reached out, desperate to learn more, but it was too late. The figure was gone, leaving Amelia alone in the darkened hallway. As she made her way back to her room, Amelia's mind raced with questions. Who was the ghostly figure, and what did she mean by Amelia's destiny? What was the true nature of the sphere, and how could Amelia possibly wield its power? She knew she would have to be careful. Damien's warning still echoed in her mind, and she couldn't shake the feeling that there were forces at work within the academy that would stop at nothing to keep their secrets hidden. But Amelia was determined. She had come to Mistwood Academy for a reason, and she wouldn't rest until she uncovered the truth, no matter the cost. Chapter 5. The Chosen One. Amelia couldn't sleep after her encounter with the ghostly figure. The woman's words played over and over in her mind. "You have been chosen." What did it mean? And why her? She had always known she was different, but the idea that she had a destiny written in the stars seemed too incredible to believe. As the first rays of sunlight crept through the windows of Mistwood Academy, Amelia decided she couldn't keep this to herself any longer. She needed to talk to someone she could trust, and the only person who came to mind was Alara. Amelia found Alara in the dining hall, enjoying a quiet breakfast. She slid into the seat across from her friend and leaned in close. "I need to tell you something," she whispered urgently. Alara's eyes widened with concern. "What is it, Amelia? You look like you've seen a ghost." Amelia took a deep breath and told Alara everything. The hidden room, the cryptic tablet, Damien's warning, and the ghostly figure who had appeared to her in the night. When she finished, Alara sat back in her chair, her expression unreadable. "Amelia," she said softly, "do you realize what this means? If what the figure said is true, then you have a greater purpose than any of us could have imagined." Amelia nodded, her heart racing. "But what am I supposed to do, Alara? I don't even know where to start." Alara reached across the table and took Amelia's hand. "We'll figure it out together," she said firmly. "But first, we need to find out more about this sphere. If it really does hold the key to the Academy's power, then we need to know what we're dealing with." Amelia agreed, and the two girls spent the rest of the day scouring the Academy's library for any information they could find on the sphere. They pored over ancient texts and crumbling manuscripts, but found nothing that could shed light on the artifact's true nature. As the sun began to set, Amelia and Alara returned to the dining hall, exhausted and frustrated. But as they entered the room, they noticed something strange. The statue that held the sphere was glowing even more brightly than before, and the air around it seemed to crackle with energy. Amelia approached the statue cautiously, her heart pounding in her chest. As she drew closer, she felt a strange sensation wash over her, as if the sphere was calling out to her. Without thinking, she reached out and touched the smooth surface of the artifact. Instantly, the sphere began to pulse with a brilliant white light. Amelia gasped as a rush of power surged through her body, filling her with a sense of strength and purpose unlike anything she had ever felt before. When the light faded, Amelia found herself standing alone in the dining hall. Alara was gone, and the statue had returned to its normal state. But Amelia knew that something had changed within her. She could feel the power of the sphere coursing through her veins, and she knew that she had been chosen for a reason. As she left the dining hall, Amelia couldn't shake the feeling that she was being watched. She glanced over her shoulder and saw Damien standing in the shadows, his eyes fixed on her with an intensity that sent shivers down her spine. Amelia knew that the path ahead of her would be fraught with danger and uncertainty. But with the power of the sphere at her fingertips and the support of her friends, she was ready to face whatever challenges lay ahead. She was the chosen one, and she would stop at nothing to uncover the truth behind Mistwood Academy. Chapter 6. The Awakening. Amelia awoke the next morning, feeling invigorated, the power of the sphere still coursing through her veins. She quickly dressed and headed to the dining hall, eager to share her newfound sense of purpose with Alara. As she entered the hall, Amelia was surprised to find it buzzing with activity. Students whispered excitedly to one another, their faces filled with a mix of wonder and fear. Amelia spotted Alara at their usual table and hurried over to her. "What's going on?" Amelia asked, sliding into her seat. Alara leaned in close, her voice low. "There was another strange occurrence last night," she said. "A group of students saw a ghostly figure wandering the halls, just like the one you described." Amelia's eyes widened. "Did they see where it went?" Alara shook her head. "No, but there's more. They said the figure was carrying something, a book or a scroll, and it was headed towards the library." Amelia felt a surge of excitement. Perhaps this was the clue they needed to unravel the mystery of Mistwood Academy. "We have to go to the library," she said, standing up. "If there's a book or scroll that can help us understand the sphere's power, we need to find it." Alara hesitated. "Amelia, are you sure about this? We don't know what we're getting ourselves into." Amelia met her friend's gaze, her eyes blazing with determination. "I have to do this, Alara. I was chosen for a reason, and I can't ignore that. But I can't do it alone. I need your help." Alara sighed, then nodded. "All right, let's go. But we need to be careful. We don't know who or what we're dealing with." As they made their way to the library, Amelia couldn't shake the feeling that they were being watched. She glanced over her shoulder and saw Damien lurking in the shadows, his eyes fixed on her with a mixture of curiosity and suspicion. When they reached the library, Amelia and Alara split up, searching the shelves for any sign of the mysterious book or scroll. Hours passed, and they found nothing. Just as they were about to give up, Amelia spotted a faint glow emanating from a dusty corner of the library. She approached the light cautiously, her heart pounding in her chest. There, tucked behind a stack of ancient tomes, was a small, leather-bound book. Its cover was emblazoned with the same symbol that adorned the sphere, a crescent moon entwined with a serpent. With trembling hands, Amelia picked up the book and opened it. The pages were filled with strange symbols and diagrams, and as she flipped through them, she felt a growing sense of unease. This was no ordinary book. It was a grimoire, a powerful tome of ancient magic. As Amelia studied the pages, she began to understand the true nature of the sphere's power. It was a conduit, a means of channeling the magical energy that flowed through Mistwood Academy. And she, as the chosen one, was the only one who could wield that power. But with great power came great responsibility, and Amelia knew that she would have to be careful. The grimoire warned of the dangers of using magic for selfish or destructive purposes, and she knew that she would have to use her newfound abilities wisely. As she closed the book, Amelia felt a sense of purpose wash over her. She knew that her journey was just beginning, and that there would be many challenges ahead. But with the power of the sphere and the support of her friends, she was ready to face whatever lay ahead. Little did she know, however, that Damien was watching her every move, his own plans for the sphere's power beginning to take shape in the shadows of Mistwood Academy. Chapter 7. The Revelation. As Amelia delved deeper into the ancient grimoire, she felt a growing sense of unease. The pages were filled with cryptic passages and intricate diagrams, each one hinting at the immense power that lay within the sphere. Alara, who had been keeping watch, suddenly gasped. "Amelia, someone's coming," she whispered urgently. Amelia quickly closed the book and tucked it into her bag, her heart racing. She and Alara ducked behind a nearby bookshelf, holding their breath as footsteps echoed through the library. To their surprise, it was Professor Blackwood who emerged from the shadows. He looked haggard and worried, his usually impeccable suit rumpled and his hair disheveled. "Professor?" Amelia asked, stepping out from behind the bookshelf. "What are you doing here?" Professor Blackwood started, his eyes wide with surprise. "Amelia? Alara, what are you two doing here at this hour?" Amelia hesitated, unsure of how much to reveal, but something in the professor's eyes told her that he could be trusted. "We were looking for answers," she said, pulling the grimoire from her bag, "about the sphere and the strange things that have been happening at Mistwood." Professor Blackwood's eyes widened as he saw the book. "Where did you find that?" he asked, his voice trembling. "It was hidden in the library," Amelia said. "But what does it mean? What is the sphere, and why was I chosen to wield its power?" Professor Blackwood sighed, running a hand through his hair. "I had hoped to protect you from this knowledge, Amelia, but it seems that fate has other plans." He motioned for them to sit, and they gathered around a small table in the corner of the library. "The sphere is an ancient artifact, imbued with immense magical power," he began. "It was created long ago by a group of powerful mages who sought to harness the energy that flows through Mistwood." Amelia nodded, remembering the strange sensations she had felt when she first touched the sphere. "But why me?" she asked. "Why was I chosen to wield its power?" Professor Blackwood looked at her intently. "Because you possess a rare and powerful gift, Amelia, the ability to channel and control magical energy. It is a gift that has not been seen in centuries, and it marks you as the chosen one." Amelia felt a chill run down her spine. The responsibility of such power weighed heavily on her shoulders. "But what am I supposed to do with this power?" she asked. "How can I use it to help others?" Professor Blackwood leaned forward, his eyes glinting with a strange intensity. "The sphere is the key to unlocking the secrets of Mistwood Academy," he said. "With its power, you can unravel the mysteries that have plagued this school for generations. But be warned, Amelia. There are those who would seek to use the sphere's power for their own gain, and they will stop at nothing to get their hands on it." Amelia nodded, her jaw set with determination. "I understand," she said. "I will use this power wisely, and I will protect the sphere with my life." As they left the library, Amelia couldn't shake the feeling that they were being watched. She glanced over her shoulder and saw a shadowy figure lurking in the darkness, their eyes glinting with malice. She knew then that her journey was far from over. With the power of the sphere and the knowledge of the grimoire, she would have to face the darkness that threatened to engulf Mistwood Academy. But she was ready, and she knew that she had the strength and the courage to see it through. Little did she know, however, that the true threat lay closer than she ever could have imagined, and that the fate of Mistwood Academy would soon rest in her hands. Chapter 8. The Shadow's Grasp. As Amelia and Alara left the library, the weight of the revelation hung heavy in the air. The knowledge that Amelia was the chosen one, destined to wield the power of the ancient sphere, filled her with a sense of both awe and trepidation. They hurried through the dimly lit corridors, their footsteps echoing off the stone walls. Amelia couldn't shake the feeling that they were being watched, and she clutched the grimoire tightly to her chest. Suddenly, a cold wind whipped through the hallway, extinguishing the torches and plunging them into darkness. Amelia and Alara froze, their hearts pounding in their chests. Well, what do we have here?" a sinister voice whispered from the shadows. Amelia whirled around, her eyes straining to see through the gloom. A figure emerged from the darkness, cloaked in black, with piercing green eyes that seemed to glow with an otherworldly light. "Who are you?" Amelia demanded, her voice trembling. The figure chuckled, a low, menacing sound that sent shivers down Amelia's spine. "I am the one who seeks the power of the sphere," he said, "and you, my dear, are the key to unlocking its secrets." Amelia's eyes widened in horror as the figure extended a pale, bony hand towards her. She stumbled backward, but the figure was too quick. With a flick of his wrist, he sent a bolt of dark energy hurtling towards her, knocking her off her feet. Alara screamed, rushing to Amelia's side, but the figure was already upon them, his cloak billowing in the wind as he loomed over them. "Give me the grimoire," he hissed, his voice dripping with malice. Amelia shook her head, clutching the book tighter. Never, she said, her voice barely above a whisper. The figure's eyes flashed with anger, and he raised his hand again, ready to strike. But before he could, a blinding light filled the hallway, illuminating the darkness. Professor Blackwood stood at the end of the corridor, his hand outstretched, a shimmering shield of energy surrounding him. "Leave them be," he commanded, his voice booming with authority. The figure hesitated, his eyes darting between Amelia and the professor. For a moment, it seemed as though he might attack. But then, with a snarl of frustration, he vanished into the shadows, leaving only a cold, empty silence in his wake. Amelia struggled to her feet, her heart still racing. "Professor," she said, her voice shaking, "what was that?" Professor Blackwood's face was grim. "That, my dear, was one of the many dangers that seek the power of the sphere," he said, "and I fear that he will not be the last." Amelia nodded, her jaw set with determination. She knew that the path ahead would be fraught with peril, but she also knew that she had no choice but to face it head-on. With the grimoire in hand, and the power of the sphere coursing through her veins, Amelia knew that she was the only one who could unravel the mysteries of Mistwood Academy and protect those she held dear. But as she and Alara followed Professor Blackwood back to the safety of the dormitory, Amelia couldn't shake the feeling that the true danger lurked closer than she ever could have imagined, waiting in the shadows, ready to strike when she least expected it. Chapter 9. Whispers in the Night. Amelia tossed and turned in her bed, unable to find solace in sleep. The events of the evening kept replaying in her mind, the sinister figure's words echoing like a haunting melody. She couldn't shake the feeling that the Academy's walls held secrets that were yet to be uncovered. As the moonlight filtered through the dormitory window, Amelia heard a faint whisper. At first, she thought it was just the wind, but as she strained her ears, she realized it was something more. The whispers grew louder, seeming to come from every direction, enveloping her in an eerie cacophony. Amelia sat up, her heart pounding in her chest. She glanced over at Alara's bed, but her friend was sound asleep, undisturbed by the ghostly voices. Amelia slipped out of bed, her bare feet touching the cold stone floor. She followed the whispers, drawn by an inexplicable force. The hallways of Mistwood Academy were deserted at this hour, the only sound being the soft padding of Amelia's footsteps. The whispers grew more insistent, guiding her through the labyrinthine corridors. She found herself standing before a large, ornate door that she had never seen before. With trembling hands, Amelia pushed the door open. It creaked on its hinges, revealing a dimly lit room. In the center of the room stood a pedestal, and atop it rested a shimmering orb. The whispers seemed to emanate from the orb, beckoning Amelia closer. As she approached the pedestal, Amelia felt a surge of energy coursing through her body. The orb pulsed with a soft, mesmerizing light, and Amelia found herself reaching out to touch it. The moment her fingertips grazed the surface, a blinding flash of light filled the room, and Amelia was transported to another realm. She found herself standing in a vast, ethereal landscape, where the sky was a kaleidoscope of colors, and the ground beneath her feet was a shimmering sea of mist. Before her stood a figure cloaked in light, its features indiscernible. "Amelia," the figure spoke, its voice resonating through the air. "You have been chosen for a great purpose. The power of the sphere flows through you, and it is your destiny to protect it from those who seek to abuse its might." Amelia's mind raced with questions, but before she could utter a word, the figure continued. "The path ahead will be fraught with danger, but you must remain steadfast. Trust in your abilities and in those who stand by your side. The fate of Mistwood Academy, and perhaps the world, rests on your shoulders." With those words, the figure vanished, and Amelia found herself back in the room, the orb still glowing softly before her. She knew that the encounter had been real, a glimpse into the greater purpose that awaited her. As Amelia made her way back to the dormitory, her mind buzzed with the weight of her newfound responsibility. She knew that the challenges ahead would test her in ways she had never been tested before, but she also knew that she had the strength within her to face them head-on. The whispers in the night had revealed a truth that Amelia could no longer ignore. She was the chosen one, and the fate of Mistwood Academy was inextricably linked to her own. With a renewed sense of purpose, Amelia vowed to unravel the mysteries that lay ahead and protect those she held dear, no matter the cost. Chapter 10. The Awakening. Amelia woke up the next morning, her mind still reeling from the events of the previous night. The encounter with the cloaked figure and the revelation of her destiny weighed heavily on her shoulders. She knew that the path ahead would be challenging, but she was determined to face it head-on. As she got ready for the day, Amelia couldn't help but notice a subtle change in herself. She felt a newfound energy coursing through her veins, as if the power of the sphere had awakened something deep within her. She glanced at her reflection in the mirror, and for a brief moment, she thought she saw a flicker of light in her eyes. Alara noticed Amelia's preoccupied state and asked, "Hey, are you all right? You seem a bit distracted." Amelia hesitated, unsure whether to share her experience with her friend, but she knew that she couldn't face this alone, and Alara had always been there for her. "Something happened last night, Alara. Something incredible and terrifying at the same time." Alara's eyes widened with curiosity. "What do you mean? What happened?" Amelia took a deep breath and recounted the events of the previous night, from the mysterious whispers to the encounter with the cloaked figure in the ethereal realm. Alara listened intently, her expression shifting from disbelief to awe as Amelia revealed her newfound role as the Chosen One. "Amelia, this is huge," Alara said, her voice filled with both excitement and concern. "If what you're saying is true, then you have a great responsibility on your hands. But you're not alone in this. I'm here for you, and together we'll figure out what needs to be done." Amelia felt a wave of relief wash over her. Knowing that she had Alara's support gave her the strength she needed to face the challenges ahead. As they made their way to class, Amelia couldn't shake the feeling that something had shifted within the academy. The whispers in the night had awakened a hidden power, and she sensed that others were beginning to take notice. In the hallways, Amelia noticed a group of students huddled together, whispering urgently. As she passed by, she caught snippets of their conversation. "Did you feel it last night? That surge of energy?" one of them asked. "I heard rumors that something ancient has been awakened within the academy," another replied. Amelia exchanged a knowing glance with Alara, realizing that the events of the previous night had not gone unnoticed. As they entered the classroom, Professor Blackwood greeted them with a peculiar expression on his face. His eyes lingered on Amelia for a moment, as if he could sense the change within her. "Today, we will be delving into the ancient history of Mistwood Academy," Professor Blackwood announced, his voice carrying a hint of urgency. "There are secrets within these walls that have been hidden for centuries, and it is time for them to be revealed." Amelia leaned forward in her seat, her heart pounding with anticipation. She knew that the answers she sought were within reach, and she was ready to uncover the truth behind the enchanted halls of Mistwood Academy. As the lesson unfolded, Amelia found herself drawn deeper into the mysteries that surrounded her. The awakening of her powers had set in motion a chain of events that would change her life forever, and she was determined to embrace her destiny, no matter what challenges lay ahead. Chapter 11. Unveiling the Truth. As Professor Blackwood delved into the ancient history of Mistwood Academy, Amelia found herself hanging on to his every word. The secrets that had been hidden within these walls for centuries were finally coming to light, and she knew that she played a crucial role in unraveling the truth. Long ago, Mistwood Academy was founded by a group of powerful mages who sought to protect the world from a great evil. Professor Blackwood explained, his voice filled with gravity. They discovered an ancient artifact, a sphere of immense power that could tip the balance between light and darkness. Amelia's heart raced as she realized that the sphere he spoke of was the same one she had encountered in the ethereal realm. She glanced at Alara, who gave her a reassuring nod, urging her to listen closely. The mages knew that the sphere's power was too great to be wielded by any one individual, Professor Blackwood continued. So, they divided it into 3 fragments and hid them within the academy, each protected by powerful enchantments. It was prophesied that one day, a chosen one would arise, possessing the ability to unite the fragments and restore balance to the world. Amelia felt a chill run down her spine as the weight of her destiny settled upon her shoulders. She knew that she was the chosen one, but the path ahead seemed daunting and uncertain. As the lesson ended, Professor Blackwood approached Amelia, his eyes filled with a mixture of concern and hope. "Amelia, I sense that you have been chosen for a great purpose," he said, his voice low and serious. "The awakening of your powers is no coincidence. You must be prepared for the challenges that lie ahead." Amelia nodded, her determination growing stronger with each passing moment. "I'm ready, Professor. I know that I have to find the fragments and unite them before the forces of darkness can claim them." Professor Blackwood placed a comforting hand on her shoulder. "You are not alone in this, Amelia. There are those who will stand by your side and guide you on your journey. Trust in yourself and in the power that resides within you." As Amelia left the classroom, she felt a renewed sense of purpose. She knew that the path ahead would be filled with dangers and obstacles, but she was ready to face them head-on. Alara walked beside her, her eyes filled with concern. "Amelia, this is a lot to take in. Are you sure you're ready for this?" Amelia took a deep breath, her resolve unwavering. "I have to be, Alara. If I don't do this, who will? The fate of the world rests on my shoulders, and I can't let everyone down." As they made their way through the enchanted halls of Mistwood Academy, Amelia couldn't help but notice the subtle changes around her. The whispers in the night had grown louder, and she sensed a growing unease among the students and staff. Suddenly, a commotion erupted in the courtyard. Amelia and Alara rushed to investigate, only to find a group of students gathered around a strange, pulsating orb that had appeared out of nowhere. "What is that?" Alara gasped, her eyes wide with fear. Amelia stepped forward, her heart pounding in her chest. She could feel the power emanating from the orb, and she knew that it was connected to her destiny. As she reached out to touch it, a blinding light engulfed her, and she found herself transported once again to the ethereal realm. The cloaked figure stood before her, its voice echoing in her mind. "The time has come, chosen one," it said, its tone urgent and commanding. "The first fragment awaits you, but beware, for the forces of darkness are gathering, and they will stop at nothing to claim the sphere's power for themselves." Amelia steeled herself, knowing that the true test of her abilities and courage was about to begin. With Alara by her side and the support of those who believed in her, she was ready to embark on the quest that would shape the fate of Mistwood Academy and the Bath world beyond. Chapter 12. The Quest Begins. Amelia found herself back in the courtyard, the ethereal realm fading away as quickly as it had appeared. The pulsating orb had vanished, leaving behind a sense of urgency and purpose. She turned to Alara, her eyes filled with determination. "We have to find the first fragment," Amelia declared, her voice steady despite the weight of the task before her. "The cloaked figure said it awaits me, and we can't let the forces of darkness get to it first." Alara nodded, her own resolve growing stronger. "I'm with you, Amelia. We'll face this together." As they made their way back to the academy, Amelia couldn't shake the feeling that they were being watched. The shadows seemed to flicker and dance, as if hiding unseen entities. She shivered, pulling her cloak tighter around her shoulders. Professor Blackwood was waiting for them in his office, his expression grave. "Amelia, Alara, I'm glad you're here. I have important information to share with you." He led them to a large, ancient-looking map that covered the entire wall. It depicted the grounds of Mistwood Academy, with intricate symbols and markings scattered across its surface. "This map holds the key to finding the first fragment," Professor Blackwood explained, tracing his finger along a faint, glowing line. "It is hidden deep within the Whispering Woods, a place filled with ancient magic and untold dangers." Amelia studied the map, her heart racing with a mixture of excitement and trepidation. She knew that the journey ahead would be perilous, but she was ready to face whatever challenges lay in her path. "We'll need to prepare," Alara said, her tactical mind already formulating a plan. "Supplies, protective enchantments, and a solid strategy." Professor Blackwood nodded, a glimmer of pride in his eyes. "You two are wise beyond your years. I have faith in your abilities, and I know that you will succeed." As they left the professor's office, Amelia couldn't help but feel a sense of camaraderie with Alara. They had been through so much together already, and she knew that their friendship would be a source of strength in the trials to come. The next few days were a flurry of activity as they prepared for their quest. They gathered supplies, practiced defensive spells, and studied the map, committing every detail to memory. Amelia found herself growing more confident with each passing day, her powers becoming more refined and controlled. Finally, the day of their departure arrived. As they stood at the edge of the Whispering Woods, Amelia took a deep breath, the weight of her destiny settling upon her shoulders once more. "Are you ready?" Alara asked, her hand resting reassuringly on Amelia's arm. Amelia nodded, a fierce determination burning in her eyes. "I'm ready. Let's find that fragment and save Mistwood Academy." Together, they stepped into the woods, the ancient trees seeming to whisper secrets as they passed. The quest had begun, and Amelia knew that the fate of the world rested in their hands. As they ventured deeper into the Whispering Woods, the air grew thick with an eerie fog, and the whispers turned to haunting melodies. Amelia and Alara pressed on, their senses heightened and their nerves on edge. Suddenly, a dark figure emerged from the mist, its eyes glowing with malevolent intent. Amelia felt a chill run down her spine as she realized that the forces of darkness had found them. The figure raised its staff, a blast of dark energy hurtling towards them. Amelia reacted instinctively, raising a shield of shimmering light to protect herself and Alara. The battle had begun, and Amelia knew that this was only the beginning of the challenges that lay ahead. But with Alara by her side, and the power of her destiny flowing through her veins, she was ready to face whatever the Whispering Woods had in store for them.